Hey, what's up, everybody? Like many of you, I play Star Citizen, but I'm also a software engineer, and I work in systems engineering and a little bit of graphics and that sort of stuff. And something I've been wanting to do has been react to the ISC videos and some of the other stuff that they put out, and give a sort of like perspective coming from an engineer, if that makes sense. And unfortunately, I've already watched this week's ISC, so this one's going to be a little different. I'm going to be reacting specifically to Salty Mike's because he says some good things and he says some bad things. And I kind of want to, shit on CIG a little bit and praise CIG a little bit. And then I also want to do the same with him. Try to set some stuff straight, at least as far as I know. Yeah, so we're going to hop right in here. So.
All right, and next up, we'll watch ISC. So it's called 9 Lives, Spring 2022.
The Ninetales are professional criminal operators with a high skill level, but what makes them different is kind of how they don't care about hiding their activities. They're a little bit flashier than you would expect. They're running gambling rings and stealing and doing protection rackets. The big mystery right now is everyone's trying to figure out what their motivations and goals are.
I love the lore.
When the Ninetales go out and they do certain missions, it's very clear that they know exactly what they're doing, that they've trained, that they've actually done drills for the exact situation that they're going into.
Wait, now all of them have the gray
when
camera?
the Ninetales debuted,
They all have the gray
Terra,
camera.
It was a very big, splashy kind of attack on a prison transport where they captured a syndicate boss.
Killed a bunch of Terra police.
See, I'm not a big fan of when they go into like huge lore stuff like this. If I wanted to, watch the lore, I mean, I guess that's coming from the perspective of an engineer, but if I wanted to, know about the lore, I'd go read up on it. I'm not going to want to watch the ISCs, but anyways.
Do it.
Only to execute him 2 days later with a shot in the head, and everyone was very confused.
They're audacious, they're bold, they're violent, and they're good at what they do.
You've got big goals? We've got new ways to reach them. New ways to make that cheddar, bacon,
Have you guys fought the Ninetales at any bunker? They are not good at what they do.
I think he's mistaking the fact that they're talking about the lore here for actual gameplay. I mean, nothing they've said isn't necessarily true in game, and they'll continue to go on about stuff that's not in game, and it's honestly just not a good look in my opinion. Everything they're talking about is just like.
Have you done? People do bounty missions all day.
Over the past few years, the Ninetales has started to terrorize the Stanton system around Crusader.
Using Grimhex as their sort of current base of operations.
Oh, okay. I am dying. The moment I saw that they were going to have like longer term reputation, I am dying for Grimhex to be what Grimhex should have always been. The hangout. The hangout for any seedy character. And the inability to land if you're not. I have been dying and waiting for that moment, and I feel like we're getting there. Like they're very slowly going to that place.
If you've got,
I sort of agree with him here, but I do know that there was an image that was shown in one of their previous videos where there was Ninetales rep that you could see in one of their internal builds. So obviously they're going to be adding Ninetales as a group that you can get rep with, and then maybe they can have the ability to restrict landing zones based off rep. I know they plan on doing it with lawful factions. I don't necessarily know that CIG will implement that for Grimhex, which kind of sucks if they don't, but I do agree.
On to Grimhex, you've seen their tags.
They want you to know who
I
they
see their
are,
tags, but
so
we
you
don't
know
see
who you're
them.
messing
Yeah.
with. They kind of advertise because it's a warning of like, hey, don't mess with me, because you'll bring down the wrath of the gang.
It's funny.
A lot of people who are playing the game, they're in with the Ninetales is through Rudo, who's a criminal fixer operating in Grimhex.
He has his sort of his own agenda too, but he does hire out for the Ninetales.
So when the
Hey, that's the first time I've seen the Rudo thing pop up. Usually every time you go for him, it never shows up. How
Yeah.
did they have the holo, but we don't?
Nine
So far, everything they've talked about has been lore or stuff that doesn't work in games, so this is kind of annoying to watch.
Tails don't want to risk their own members or need a little extra help on a job. They contact Rudo, and Rudo puts them in touch with people in the know, and that way they don't have to work with them directly. They don't have to expose their organization. Rudo arranges everything, and he has his own level of protection. Talking through the holograms and all kind of that keeps a buffer between his clients and the
There he
operators
is
he
again.
hires.
Outside of potentially picking up missions for the Ninetales from Rudo, you might have run into them if you helped clear out a blockade at a space station, a lockdown event, dynamic event that happened a few months ago, where the Ninetales gang basically moved in a giant kind of like dampener, a quantum dampener, to an area around a space station, which meant quantum traveling in and out of that area was restricted.
Since the Ninetales did their lockdown across the system of these rest stops,
I already know what's coming here. They're gonna be talking about them being quiet and this and that with respect to the Orison event and the free fly and everything. And I think Salty Mike's gonna hit it on the head here.
they may seem like they've been a little bit quiet.
Which has kind of made some happy around Crusader, because the gang has been a constant thorn in the side of the company for years. There was a really big fear that during the Fleet Week event at Orison, that the Ninetales might do something that could jeopardize the event in general, but their silence isn't.
Bruh, I'm pretty sure that the free fly was supposed to have the event, but the event was so fucking crashy that they never did it. You don't think they wanted to do the event during the free fly? Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, I totally agree with Mike here, man. They were testing it like very hard. They were pushing it. It was really. I played it a few times. Low FPSs, crashes. It was fun, but it was buggy as hell. And I think, and he hits this on the head here, but I think they were very well intending to do that during free fly. It just makes sense. And now that didn't happen, they're kind of just changing the lore as they go, which is fine. It's whatever. I'm not too picky on the lore, but it's almost kind of gives a representation of how things are being done at CIG, and I don't know if it's a good look. It's almost like they're just changing, the engine of the plane as they're flying it. It's not. It's kind of iffy.
But it just wasn't ready. I mean, I'm not trying to put Elliot on the spot here, but
treated as a good thing by everyone within the company. There's some deep fears that
That's what it
them
felt
kind
like.
of going quiet and kind of stepping
They were
back out of
testing it
activity for the
hard
past
'cause they
few
wanted to
weeks
have it
could
in
be
there.
a symbol of something bigger to come. I would say that the officials at Orson are a bit on edge about what the Ninetales are up to right now.
they were having weekday tests.
The Ninetales are becoming perennial adversaries to the good, hardworking people of Stanton. And as many recent testers of PTU may already be aware, are currently building up their forces for a potential new assault in the coming weeks when Alpha 317-2 comes online, which we'll all be learning more about throughout the rest of this month. But what about those in lives outside of the dangers and controversies of combat? For space truckers and the like, the commodity kiosk is where small fortunes can be made, and it's one of the last remaining systems still unconverted to building blocks. Until now. Now let's take a look at a still very nascent work converting this system and ensuring a few quality of life fixes players have asked for get integrated along the way.
Since they converted the ASOP terminal to building blocks, I have a real kind of question that I would love to have answered by somebody at CIG one day. There are typically a lot of issues with the terminals, whichever one we use that has its own issues, whether it's the cargo one or the ASOP terminal. And why, when we go through and do the building blocks thing, that we don't resolve the glaring issues with them. I would assume it's like a database thing or whatever, but like, I was really hoping when they redid the ASOP terminal that we would have like an ability to search or hide or kind of have more control over what we see on the screen.
So I think a lot of people get this wrong, because I mean he's doing it here obviously, and that's misinterpreting what these reworks are. They're not reworking the entire ASOP terminal or any of the terminals for that matter. What they're doing is reworking the UI. It's uh, simply just changing out the UI tech from Flash to building blocks. They're not the code, if written properly, should be split up in a way where there's UI code, and then there's abstracted from that, or agnostic to that, the control code that controls the data and how it gets given to the UI and read from the database, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, so if they haven't touched that and they just simply redid the UI, they could move stuff around and stuff like that, but they're not going to be adding new features like search and filter and stuff like that. And filter may be easier, but people tend to ask for search a lot for the inventory system, for the ASOP terminals, and some other things, I think. And I don't think people realize that, like, that would be nice, but that's not as simple as they may think it is. It's not like, Google, where you just type it in and stuff pops up. Search is a very complicated topic where you can do like a very simple like query in like a database or something like that, and you're looking for a string that matches exactly or at least partially like what you are typing in. Um, and then it goes even further. Now you can tokenize like ship names and other information, descriptions, that sort of stuff, and put it into a database and search through those tokens. Or you could use something even more complex like Elasticsearch. Now I don't know that they need all of that for the ASOP terminals, for example, but for other systems like your inventory and that sort of stuff, that's probably something that would be needed if they were to implement search right now. And given that they don't intend for the current UI to be the last one, I doubt they want to stand up a bunch of these tools and services for that sort of stuff. It's not as easy as just saying, oh, you want search, we'll add search. Now, given the ASOP terminal, right, like the only thing you'll really ever be searching for is a ship name, and all the ship names are pretty well known and stuff, so that might be pretty simple and easy to implement. And I'm not exactly sure what was the decision there not to. But overall, everybody keeps preaching for search, and it's just like, you guys, like, it's not as simple as just adding search.
Maybe just a generally better way of doing it, and nope. And I didn't see this yet, but a lot
part
of
the
people
upcoming cargo refactor. This was the perfect time
were
to go back
complaining
and
about
update the
this
old
UI,
Mari kiosk
so.
UI. The core philosophy for the rework is tell the player what's going on above all else, so that they can make their informed decisions and plan for the future.
But shouldn't that be like a stock ticker of some kind?
The commodity kiosk is the method that players use when they are trying to load cargo onto their ship so that they can trade between locations, etc. It is a kiosk that is often situated in either a trade and development district or in the admin office of a space station or outpost or something like that.
Yeah, like that up there, that's the real commodity kiosk.
I don't know that this is necessarily needed right now. Everybody tends to ask for the tickers and graphs and stuff like that, and right now, until they hook up Quanta, I think this is a terrible idea. Mostly because I'm not certain that the commodity prices are actually tracked. At least historically, they might be temporarily tracked, but I doubt they know what the price of Laranite was, a month ago. And even if they did, I think the tick rate is like 10 minutes or something like that for commodity refresh stuff. Maybe it's 15. Either way, the way prices currently work is they're anchored around a certain value, and they tend to fluctuate by like usually less than 1 UEC. So what you would see if you did have a ticker, for instance, like just a ticker that showed the current price, is pretty much the same price every time you looked at it. And so now it's just taking up space and not telling you much other than what they're already showing you. And if you did something with like a chart or a graph that some people tend to want, what it's going to look like is a mostly flat line because it's going to fluctuate, plus or minus 1 UEC, maybe less than that. Every 10 minutes it's going to change. So you'll see like a flat line, a small tick up or down, and then a flat line, small tick up or down, so on and so on. And that's what it'll look like. And until Quanta's set up, that's what it's going to look like. So I don't think this stuff is necessary now. People keep asking for it. And I think you got to put more thought into how that's actually going to play out.
We like that the current commodity kiosk is stable. Other than that, honestly, the layout of it does a lot to actually harm our gameplay. It does not show commodities on it when they are out of stock or when
Oh, Ben.
I don't understand what he's saying here. They do show when stuff is out of stock. The Laranite is red there. That means it's out of stock. I really don't understand. But anyways.
Yes. But I think the system in itself is what harms the community.
I have no clue what he's talking about.
I don't think it's the UI. I think it's the choice of going, oh, so you want to make money, huh? Here, spend 1 million credits on Laranite and make 100,000.
Is he saying that's bad?
Nobody would ever take that risk.
I completely disagree. That's 10%. There's entire businesses who run margins of like 3%, like $1 trillion companies, Apple and Microsoft, they bring in only a few billion a year in profit. Maybe more than that. I'm not a financial guru, so I don't know, but it's definitely not hundreds of billions. What?
At least in a kind of Wild Westy situation like Star Citizen is. Because that's 10% on your money, right? Typically, if you were investing in a stock or something like that, 10% is very good.
Even if you're a business, if you're turning 10% around.
The thing is,
in a day, that's great.
With investing, you typically don't lose everything instantly, right? Like, doesn't it like trend downwards and you can like make the choice to lose less? With cargo, you don't get the choice to lose less.
I disagree. I completely disagree. You could put all your money into like a foolish play with no precautions whatsoever, and lose all your money in one day. That is very possible in the stock market, and it's very possible here if you don't take any precautions. Just like I said for the stock market example, all you have to do is take precautions, right? If you don't have the equity or not the equity, but the capital to be risking $1 million like that, but you want to do $1 million run, then hire the security, right? Like this is a balance between risk and reward, and when the risk tends to go up, and you're not willing to tolerate that, then you have to take more precautions. This is a dumb argument in my opinion.
You lose it all, or you make the 10%. That's kind of where these things are. I've always thought the really like valuable, really good trades should have very low stock, and we should be fighting over those things. Maybe. But in reality, when it comes to this, I feel like it's just a mission system that needs to be a thing. But I'll let him continue and not interrupt right away. But I really do feel that the issue with cargo isn't really the UI. It's the system itself. Commodity trading happens in other games, but those other games are more like single-player games, like Elite Dangerous. Like Elite's a single-player game, by the way. And I don't know, like when I played Privateer.
I disagree to an extent. I think the two biggest issues with trading is not the UI, and I don't think it's the system. I think it's one, physicalized cargo. I think we should be able to transfer ownership of cargo between players. I should be able to store cargo indefinitely in something like the cargo decks. What are they supposed to be doing? Cargo decks are there and they don't do anything. Let me buy cargo, fly it to a space station, and store it in that cargo deck, and wait until the prices fluctuate. And for that last bit to happen, it comes to my second point. I think the other thing that's hurting cargo is the pretty static nature of it all. I think that we really need physicalized cargo so that we can do all the movement and ownership and all that sort of stuff, and transfer cargo between players and other sorts of stuff. And then we need quanta so we can vary the prices dynamically so that it's not super predictable. And that way, I think cargo is nearly a finished loop at that point. I mean, you could add some things with data running and price tracking and that sort of stuff. But if I can buy cargo, hold on to it for an indefinite amount of time, sell it where I want, when I want, and physically move it around, split it between ships, etc., etc. That's a done loop in my opinion, and that's my primary gameplay loop that I want to play. So I don't think it takes all the work that you might need in something like mining or refining, not refining, but mining or salvage.
Right?
When they are full stock or when the player doesn't have it in their ship. Essentially, a lot of times players will say, you have removed X from this shop, or X shop is not working, when in reality it's just that someone on another server has recently interacted with that shop,
I think we
and
just
as a
need
result,
missions, man.
it's looking like it basically has nothing in it.
I agree here. It would be nice to get missions where we don't provide any upfront capital, and like the real world tends to work, where um, people will truckers, for example, will have their truck and they own their truck, and they'll go pick up a trailer that someone else owns, and the goods inside of it someone else owns, and they'll take it somewhere for a flat fee, and they get paid out, and they never risked any of their initial capital. I think it should be something that makes a lot less money than risking your own capital, right? Like the 10%, I think that's great. If I were to pick up 1,000,000 credits worth of goods for another person and take it somewhere, I think that mission should only pay out like 30, 40 grand, if that.
Grammarly adds confidence, so you
Sorry
don't
about the
undermine
ads,
your
guys.
message,
It's my first time doing this, so I'll get like.
and offers rewrite.
The biggest thing that we're going to be changing is that if an item is at full and you are trying to sell to the shop, it will still show as in the inventory. If an item is empty, as in someone has purchased all of it, we will just show it on there as being empty.
Okay.
You will be able to go to a shop and know exactly what it is going to
That's like a tautology. He didn't say anything there.
normally.
What the fuck was that?
Oh, just the UI. Oh god, let's see what he says about this.
Demand in stock. What the heck is that? Why is this? Why is there an 85X on the screen? Why is there a ship here?
I think tons of people are going to get up in arms about this, and I'm going to go into a little detail in a bit about this, but I have some thoughts on it.
Why do I need a ship on my cargo screen?
Oh, he is livid. I agree.
What are you doing?
I don't know that the ship needs to be there. That's kind of dumb.
I thought you were going to give us the information I need to know. I know what ship I flew here. Oh my god, guys, come on.
Yeah, this is not good. There's no reason to have the ship there whatsoever.
But in general, I don't know what's going on here. I can't tell what the numbers are, so you can't be like, "Oh, this is good," or "Oh, this is bad." Like, what? Why are you showing me this? I have no idea. I have no idea what these boxes are up here, really. So it's this is
Yeah. So I'll touch a little bit more on this when we get to the concept UIs they have, but if you look at this and you look at the concept UIs, they're night and day. The concept UIs look amazing, except for like the fact that the ship's in the middle and they could have a little bit more. But this is utter garbage. And this is an early prototype, though. I think what's going on here from a development perspective, and I think a lot of people are getting wrongfully up in arms about this, is they see this and then they see the concept UI and they think this is what they're going to be delivering. And I am thinking one of two things. Either this is the prototype, this was built probably almost certainly just to demonstrate from an engineering perspective that they can get all the required information they need for their UIs to the UI display. And then once they do that, they'll start focusing on building out the UI depicted in the concept. Or two, this is them trying to build the UIs in the concept. And if that's the case, this is utter garbage, and this should not ever come anywhere near a live build. I really think it's the first. I hope it's the first. But with some of the stuff we've seen in the past, I don't want to rule out that it could be the second, and God help us if it is.
This is definitely like a very early look at something. So maybe they show later versions are more clear. Okay.
You will be able to go.
So people are saying later versions are more clear to him, but those later versions aren't real versions; those are concepts. So that is, if they had a more up-to-date engineering version that was running, that's what they would show us. So I'm going to assume that video at the time this video was made, that we saw just now, is the most up-to-date thing they have working in terms of engineering.
To a shop and know exactly what
Do
it
the
is
later
going to
versions have a ship on them?
normally buy and sell in order to plan your trade routes and
Got a
such.
surprise for
even
you.
if currently the shop is not in a state where it can trade in that
Why
commodity.
is there a ship?
We're also going to be showing
God.
things that are in your
I'm
ship,
only raging
but
about
the
the
shop
ship.
doesn't want or can't want or considers illegal, so that you can know that there's not a bug occurring, basically. So that you can see such,
Sorry.
even if kernel
I
and
wanna
you
hear
are
it again.
trying to as being empty. You
I
will
want
be
to
able
skip
to
through
go
it,
to
but
a
I
shop
don't
and
want to
know
react to
exactly
anything.
what
I
it
don't want
is
to
going to
misreact
normally
to
buy and
anything that he
sell
says.
Okay.
in order
I don't know
to
how
plan your
tilted he'll
trade
get.
routes and such, even if currently the shop is not in a state where it can trade in that commodity. We're also going to be showing things that are in your ship.
Okay, I kind of understand here is one of the biggest issues with the current UI is it does tell you what it sells to you very easily, but it never tells you what it buys. It will only buy it if you have it in your inventory. So that is a
an
quality
issue,
of
yeah.
life change that we absolutely need.
But the shop doesn't want or can't want or considers illegal, so that you can know that there's not a bug occurring, basically. So that you can
Okay.
see that, yes, I do in fact have quite a bit of iron.
Oh, I have a C2 now. So I'm guessing this is how full your ship is.
Yeah, that's exactly
but that's
what it
the
is.
only thing that I can tell what is going on as terms of numbers, and this is obviously like the price.
Iron in my hold, and it's not missing. Something hasn't gone wrong. It's just that this shop doesn't trade in that particular commodity.
I sold the 85X, yes.
We are also going to do a little bit of a visual tweak. We're going to create a few variations. There's going to be, if you're in.
What the fuck is going on? Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, yeah, cool. So yeah, that does show like this is good. I like this. Agricultural supplies, I want this much and it'll cost this much and I want to sell that much. Okay. And then on the buy side it would probably be the same thing. And then ooh, look, emergent demand. I'm in the way. Hold on, I'm in the way. Look at Agricium here. Emergent demand for Agricium.
Yeah, I hope that stuff's
That
being driven by quantum. I think that's what he's going to say.
Is something that is good. I just think they're wasting. How much of the screen is a ship?
I'd say over half.
40%?
No, it's
Why is 40% of the screen a fucking ship?
it's like 55%.
Come on, guys.
This is what I was talking about earlier. Though. This is a concept image. This isn't what is working in engineering. If they get it close to this, that'll be nice. Except for the fact that there's a big ship in the middle. Yeah, no, this is not what's currently working. So they got a little bit of work to do.
That makes no sense. Look, colors black 1. I know what ship I'm using. You could have more info, more screen real estate, share more stuff with us.
See, I think this is kind of the crux of the issue here because earlier I talked about how I don't really think that it's super helpful at this point to show tickers or graphs or charts or anything like that. Maybe some menus like a Bloomberg terminal style deal where you can look up the latest data dump that's been given from other sell and buy locations, so that you know what prices are around the verse. But I'd say that should only be relevant for maybe out of system places that data has been ran through, like a quantum or a jump point. I wouldn't think that you would need data runners to go from, for instance, ArcCorp to like Hurston, and that should be pretty instantaneous, and you could view that there. But that ties in with data running, but and getting another system for an inner system. But like within our current system, maybe they could add something there where you could look up current prices at other stations. But beyond that, I don't think there's a whole lot they can currently do because of the issues I mentioned with how prices are mostly static now, and charts aren't going to be that interesting or informative. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just threw a ship there for the time being because they got nothing to put there. Hopefully it doesn't stay like this.
Why? That's just so weird for me. And then no demand. So it tells you what you have in your cargo hold and if they have a demand for it. Or they do buy herbal remedies and antibiotics, but there's currently no demand for them.
That is unclear. I never noticed
I'm having
that.
a hard time with this one.
I'd say that I think if he moves his camera back, I think herbal remedies and antibiotics is what's in your ship that they don't buy. So you know it's in your ship.
Grimpack's kind of a hacked version
I
that
don't
looks a
know.
little bit more
It's weird.
cruddy. If you're in the trade
Is this any different? No. About the same. No market for copper. Emergent demand again, Agricium. Okay.
and development district or one of the more fancy areas to buy commodities, then we will have a bit more of a showroom floor, fancy Godiva chocolate looking thing. It's intended to kind of give a little bit more flavor, but also to emphasize to you that the feel of the commodities that you are trading in at that location. And this is just step one of our improvements in the trading
Step
gameplay
one.
loop.
Everything's step one. When are we gonna move on to step two?
Stay tuned, traders and haulers. Help is coming.
I hope.
Okay. So I just think, like, okay. That sigh, all that stuff, believe it or not, that is a very, very important thing for me to hear. If that just goes, I know your pain, don't worry, I got you. And I'm okay with that. See, when you do stuff like that, I can wait. That infinitely makes me more patient than pretending like you're helping me and not like and ignoring the obvious issues. The sad thing is that is an improvement. No, it is what it is. I just don't understand why the ship has to be so big, and if they needed more real estate, they could have had it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, what else would you show there?
Does he go back
Things
to the
are-
stream?
I think
He just
okay.
talks for the rest of it. Okay, yeah.
CIG, you
that's
can
it.
have this.
Okay. Appreciate watching, guys. Let me know if you liked it in the comments. If you had questions or comments or concerns, if any technical questions about Star Citizen or its development, I'll try my best to help answer it. This is my first video on Star Citizen, besides throwing out some other random bits here and there on Reddit and stuff like that. But I hope to do this more next week. Maybe I'll be reacting to the actual ISC video and not Salty Mike. And if there's a good response and tons of people want to see this, then maybe I'll put a little bit more time and effort into the production quality. But other than that, thanks for watching. See you guys later.